मेरा रास्ता वखरा इस करके मैं उस नाल संघर्ष प्रगट करदा ਉਹਦੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਪਰ ਜਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਮੇਰੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਏਗੀ ਸਰਕਾਰਾ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਨਜ਼ਾਰਾ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today we're going to discuss the concept of freedom and liberty. Freedom is something that everybody has their own versions of what it is. Freedom of speech, freedom of thought, just to wake up in the morning, going to work without any police around you. That's, for some people, that's freedom. But I'm going to discuss specifically about our Sikh history. And for some reason, a lot of people would have us believe that the concept of freedom for Sikhs starts somewhere in the 1970s, or in 1978, or 1984. That this is where the concept of freedom grew in Sikhism. What I'd like to do is backtrack all the way back into a place called Nankana Sahib in 1469 and the birth of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. Now Guru Nanak Dev Ji was born in a time when Babur, a Mughal ruler, was denying everybody who wasn't a Mughal their basic human rights. The rights just to live, to breathe, to eat, to do what you want to do, to control your destiny. These basic things were being denied by Babur to the rest of the continent. Our first Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, is born and he blitzes those skies, those dark skies on the continent, and he gives rays of freedom to everybody. Rays of freedom where everybody basks in that glory. For doing this, for Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying, hang on, you cannot treat people like this, not just my own people, but anybody, you cannot treat them like this. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was imprisoned and was declared an enemy of the state. The candle of freedom, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji was sitting in that jail, was lit. That candle of freedom was then carried throughout our Sikh history. Let's fast forward a bit. Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Guru Arjan Dev Ji was declared an enemy of the state because he refused to let the faith that Guru Nanak Dev Ji started to dwindle and wither away. Jahangir, the emperor at that time, who wanted Mughal rule throughout the continent, throughout the world, had to finish this small group of people who kept talking about human rights. Guru Arjan Dev Ji, another propagator of human rights, was made to sit on a hot plate, on a hot tawa, because they refused to give up. They refused to let that candle of freedom blow out. What Jahangir didn't realize is that Guru Arjan Dev Ji's philosophy and their motivation was way hotter than that tawi. Guru Arjan Dev Ji gave their shahidi for freedom. Guru Har Gobind Sahib, our sixth Guru, was told that no Sikh can keep horses, no Sikh can keep arms, no Sikh can walk with their head held high. You bow to the Mughals. You live under our command. Your human rights, they mean nothing to us. What does Guru Har Gobind Sahib do? They erect the city Akal Takht Sahib, the castle, the throne, the supreme court of our Sikhs. There was a physical embodiment of our freedom. There was a place where we will take our direction from. There is the place that will control our destiny. There is the place that will control our human rights. And there is the place where we will get our spiritual, our power from, and our strength. The candle of freedom that was started by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the candle of freedom that was made even hotter and brighter by Guru Arjan Dev Ji, was put on Sri Akal Takht Sahib. And that candle of freedom, it was brighter and hotter. Guru Tegh Bahadur, the ninth Guru of the Sikhs, gave his life for the human rights of another faith. The candle of freedom became so big that even the world had to take notice that how can one man, how can one Guru, how can one leader, how can one true king of one faith give his life for another. This is the real concept of freedom. We can have as many human rights commissions as we want. We can have as many United Nations as we want. We can have as many Red Crosses as we want. But who can even touch that sacrifice for human rights that Guru Tegh Bahadur made? Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, our 10th master, our 10th king, sacrificed his whole life, sacrificed his whole family, not for land, not for wealth, not for health, for human rights, for freedom, for liberation. So that candle that started in 1469 at Sri Nankana Sahib, Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave it a new life in the form of the Khalsa Panth. Universal soldiers who wouldn't fight for themselves, they'll fight for other people. And what does Guru Gobind Singh Ji do? To ensure that we have everlasting freedom, everlasting human rights. They bestow all power, all embodiments of our 10 Gurus into Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj Sache Paatshah. And they tell us with a direct command that this is your everlasting Guru. This is where you will derive your inspiration. This is where you will derive your strength. In times where there are Baburs, where there are Jahangirs, where there are Aurangzebs, Guru Granth Sahib Ji will be your leader. Guru Granth Sahib Ji will be that candle of freedom. Now look at the people who have carried that candle of freedom throughout our beautiful history. That candle of freedom was picked up by Banda Singh Bahadur. He passed it on to Baba Deep Singh. Baba Deep Singh passed it on to countless Sikh warriors. The Amrit that flowed through those Panj Pyare in 1699 flowed through countless warriors. That same Amrit, that same glow of freedom, that same candle of freedom passed on to saint soldier after saint soldier after saint soldier. Massacres of our people took place. That candle of freedom, that Nishan Sahib, another symbol of our freedom, remained high. Even while our Shaheeds lay on the floor, the Nishan Sahib was in the air. That was our freedom. Now look at today. We're being told that the concept of freedom is just based on a particular part of our history. But you can see that with the birth of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the very faith that we belong to stands for freedom, justice and human rights. Not just for ourselves, but the rest of the world. Look at the present saint soldiers that we have today. Bhai Singh Ji Rajoana, another colossal Khalsa, who even in the small jail in Patiala is illuminating the whole world with the concept of freedom. He himself has coloured the whole world in Kesari. I mean, we talk about Bhai Singh Ji Rajoana, and that name is on everybody's lips at the moment. Even so-called moderate people who are proud to call themselves Indian and so on, they'll say, even this guy has made us think about our current status, what we thought we were free, but this man has showed us, hang on, we don't even exist in that place. But a big part of our history goes back to the 1980s, where another candle of freedom was burning. And it was burning in the heart of a man called Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa Pindaramani. Now this is a person who's been much maligned by the media. And the reason why we are often told that this is a terrorist is because they don't want any of us to be inspired by his words. And what were his words? They go back to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. They go back to Guru Arjan Dev Ji. They go back to Guru Tegh Bahadur, to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And what was that? Freedom. Human rights. Not even civil. Human rights. Sant Ji told the whole world that we don't begrudge anybody for drinking clean water. We don't begrudge anybody for breathing clean air. We don't begrudge anybody for having a holy status for their religious places. We don't begrudge anybody for this. But why can't we have the same? Why can't we drink clean water? Why can't we breathe fresh air? Why can't we listen to Kirtan? Why can't we read Gurbani? Why can't we pray without being persecuted? Do these sound like the demands of an ardent, hard-lining, violent terrorist? Or do these sound like the words of a Gursikh, of a basic humanitarian, of a civil rights activist, of a social reformer? If you like to drink clean water, if you like to listen to your prayers, if you like to breathe clean air, if you like to eat food grown on fertile soil, then I'm afraid you are a terrorist. And I'm a terrorist as well. These were the basic demands of Santaji. And these demands are embedded in Gurbani. Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Mata Tarat Mahat. The air is our Guru. Our father is water. And our mother is the land. These were being pillaged by a government that resembled Jahangir's empire, resembled Aurangzeb's empire, resembled Babur's empire. The only difference was it was being controlled this time by fascist Brahmanavad ideology. But yet we still stood firm. Santaji still stood firm like a rock and galvanized our people to say, look, why are we being treated so differently? If we believe that Banda Singh Bahadur was a great saint warrior, if we believe that Baba Deep Singh Ji was a great saint warrior, how can we then even question what somebody like Sant Janai Singh Ji done? If he is a terrorist, then so is Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guru Arjan Dev Ji is a terrorist. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji is a terrorist. And if you believe Sant Ji is a terrorist, please have the guts to say Guru Nanak Dev Ji is one. So these basic principles, these basic demands, I mean, if you can call them demands, we have water running freely here. We don't demand water, it comes out of our taps. These basic things that Santaji was advocating, was asking for, was in line with Sikhi anyway. We talked just earlier on about Guru Nanak Dev Ji when they were born. They gave human rights to everybody, regardless of age, gender, regardless of faith. Guru Arjan Dev Ji done the same. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji sacrificed themselves for a different faith. These demands that Santaji was making would have benefited Punjab as a whole. Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, anybody. Everybody would have benefited from this. But what was the problem? What was the problem? Why did the Indian government have to suppress those basic demands with tanks, with bullets, with guns, with Black Cat commandos, with 100,000 army personnel? Because it came from the wrong mouth. The mouth of a Sikh. The mouth from a person who wanted the whole nation to benefit from elevated conscience, from elevated thinking, from elevated living. This concept of elevated living made the candle of freedom burn even more. And thousands upon thousands of students, of young people like myself, like everybody who's watching now, each one of those picked up that candle. They suddenly realized through this great man, this great soul, we're not even recognized. Our faith, our very existence isn't even recognized in the constitution that we think we belong to. What did they do with that candle? They start movements like we would. They start movements, and what happens? Their families get butchered. And two of those students, two of those young people that picked up that candle were Bhai Harjinder Singh Ji Jinda and Bhai Sukhdev Singh Ji Sukha. They picked up that candle of freedom and they made that burn until it shone across all of Punjab. These were special, special people who fought against injustice, who fought against tyranny. That kind of tyranny that was so rampant during the Mughals era, they faced the same in the fascist Brahmanvad era. Yet they fought with power from Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and with this strength and with this power from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. These two brave souls, these diamonds, these gems, they brought dignity back to people's lives. They brought honor back to people's lives. People who had been broken, mothers, daughters, 70-year-old women, 3-year-old babies taken into the dark cells, electrocuted, inflicted with the most amount of indignities that we can't even imagine. Those people who were then thrown into cremation grounds, burnt alive, but from their ashes, Bhai Sukha, Bhai Jinda, created a vision of freedom. A vision of freedom that had no tyranny. A vision of freedom that had no illegal cremation grounds. A vision of freedom that had protection for Harmandir Sahib. A vision of freedom that had protection for our language and our culture and our women, free of rape. Rape which was made legal in Punjab during the 1980s and 90s. This vision of freedom, they rode through the fires of hell and they made it shine. And they immortalized this vision of freedom in their letter. And I feel humbled to even call it a letter, because when I read it, I think somebody like Baba Deep Singh Ji has written it. Somebody like Banda Singh Bahadur, Bhai Mani Singh. The sentiments of a Gursikh, the true saint soldier utilized by Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. If you want to know what those sentiments are, then please read this letter. These are the sentiments of brave sons of Guru Gobind Singh. And one must read or listen to this letter. This letter has the framework of freedom, the framework of liberty. And I ask all my brothers and sisters who are going to listen to this letter or read this letter, when you do read it, just remember what these two guys, Bhai Sukha and Bhai Jinda, affectionately known to the Panth because they are brothers, as Sukha and Jinda, what they done. If we look back into our history, somebody called Masa Rangar went to our holy Harmandir Sahib and desecrated it. Two brave Sikhs, Bhai Sukha Singh and Bhai Mehtab Singh, rode on their horses and they got justice. Bhai Sukha, Bhai Jinda rode on their motorcycles and got justice from General Vedya, who also desecrated our Harmandir Sahib. These two lions and the two lions that got justice from Masarangar, there is no difference between them. Don't let anybody tell you any different. And you read the letter yourself, and if your heart doesn't bleed, then I'm afraid you're not a human. These are the sentiments of Sikhi. These are the sentiments of humanity. And they continue to make that candle of freedom burn. But just like Bhai Sukha and Bhai Jinda, those gems, those jewels that we lost, even the judge who sentenced them, saying we are losing two gems, we are losing two great souls who could have benefited the nation of India, I'm having to sentence them to death. Because they didn't appeal to anything. They did admit to what they'd done, because it was in line with Sikhi and the concept of freedom. But that candle of freedom, it's been carried forward to our very present day. We may think our history stops with their Shahidi. It doesn't, it carries on. By Balwant Singh Ji Rajoana, Professor Davinder Pal Singh Pullar, by Jagtar Singh Ji Hawara, and countless thousands of our people who are still languishing in those rotten tyrannical jails of India. Yet they still keep that candle burning. On our very own doorstep, our brother, a brother of the Sikh Panth, is languishing in a jail in the UK. He's been in jail longer than Bhai Balwant Singh Ji Rajoana. And why? Because of that flame of freedom. Somebody was desecrating our holy Sri Guru Granth Sahib, and Bhai Rajinder Singh and another lion, Bhai Manjeet Singh, when the rest of the country were holding meetings, these two lions had nothing to say. They went and got justice, just like Sukha and Jinda, and just like Bhai Mehtab Singh and Bhai Zulkha Singh. we still have jewels. I used to think that I need to go back 300 years to find my Sikh heroes, but they exist today. I can see them today. But do the rest of us see them? How many people have forgotten that Bhai Rajoana Singh is still in jail? 25 years and we still don't know when he's going to be out. Bhai Manjeet Singh, another lion of the Panth, he's come out of his own back. What answer are we going to give these people? Are these not sons of mothers? Aren't these someone's brothers? All my brothers and sisters who are listening to this, that please don't let people control your mind and tell you what freedom is and what it should look like. Because the government of India will tell us that Bhagat Singh and Udham Singh are great souls, are great people who fought for freedom. And they will, in the same breath, they will have the nerve and audacity to tell us that Sant Pindrawale and people like Bhai Singh Ji Rajoana are so bad and such terrorists that they need to be executed. Aren't these the bearers of that same candle that was lit in 1469? Now I'm just going to read a very small extract from this very, very beautiful, heartfelt, immortal letter written by Bhai Sukha and Bhai Jinda. For the rest of the letter, please listen to the accompanying video. Here's the extract. The dark storm of oppression that is blowing over the Khalsa and the fire of tyranny that is burning it must have touched at least a little the soul of Lincoln, Emerson, Rousseau, Voltaire and Shakespeare, because the people fighting for their freedom and sovereignty have the same blood flowing in their veins.
Jumman waleo फांसियां दे रस्सियां नूं चुम्मण वालिओ फांसियां दे रस्सियां नूं तुहाडी कुर्बानी दा किवें विस्तार लिखिए शहीद वीरियो शहीद वीरियो तुहाडी तारीफ अंदर कित्थों लैके शब्द भंडार लिखिए कहनी ते करनी दे सूरे लिखिए कहनी ते करनी दे सूरे लिखिए तुहानू जोरावर फतेह सिंह लाल लिखिए बदले मासूम निर्दोषां दे लैवणे दा कीता कौम नाल किवें प्यार लिखिए चुम्मण वालिओ चुम्मण वालिओ ਚੁੰਮਣ ਵਾਲਿਓ